there, welcome to day 10 of our Get Up and Go challenge. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, and today we are going to finally talk about the challenge framework, the change framework, the framework that when you install it in your subconscious, which we're going to do over the next 20 days, 21 days actually, you will automatically get guaranteed better results after any change or challenge you faced than before, because your subconscious will automatically go through these steps. We call this framework the soap framework, and I made over the course of the different challenges various bars of soap to remind me of the framework. I actually even created a set of physical keys to remind me of the different steps, the different areas and aspects of your life. And now I'm going to add 2 more keys to my chain, one for communication and one for confidence, since I've added those as areas I'm going to focus on in 2021, in addition to physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, and contribution. So I've actually got keys, and I'll add a couple of keys today. I'm going to put that down to remind myself to do that. So the SOAP framework. What is the SOAP framework? I'm going to do a quick overview of the SOAP framework today. And then as our action item, I'm going to ask you to pick one of the 9 areas now. 9 fingers, 9 areas instead of the 7 that you want to go through the SOAP framework in detail with a detailed example of, and I'll pick some area or whatever area you pick. I'll get an example of how to apply it in some area or aspect of my life. Are some of these embarrassing for me to share? Yes, but I'll share them anyway, because if they're embarrassing for me, I know that there's probably some things that are embarrassing for you as well that you want to explore. It's the things that make us feel a little off or nervous or anxious or a little embarrassed that are the areas we want to work on first, because they're the ones that will give us the biggest transformation and the biggest results in the areas and aspects of our life that we want to improve. So what is this SOAP framework? What the heck does SOAP even stand for? It stands for, the S stands for story or situation. Before we're going to change or be impacted by anything, we have to know where we are. What is the situation right now? What's happening? COVID-19 hits. What's your situation? What's your physical situation? What's your mental? What's your emotional? What's your financial? What's your contribution? A lot of people, when it came to COVID-19, hey, all I'm going to do is suck in, take care of my family, figure out how we're going to survive. Can't deal about the rest of the world right now. And then I'm going to add communication and confidence to this equation and say, okay, how is my communication? How can my communication be improved or changed? And what's my story? What's the story I'm telling myself has a lot to do with communication, right? It's the words and the language I'm using to describe my situation, my story. If I'm using a lot of, and we'll dig into this deeply, negative, impossible, sad, or heavy words, that's the story and that's the feeling I'm going to get, and that's the way I'm going to approach the situation. Our O in our, let's say one more thing about story and situation. We need to find out where we are right now. That's the first part of the story and the situation. But then we have to decide, where is it we want to be? What do we want our story and our situation to be? And the whole rest of the process is about filling the gap between where we are and where we want to be with respect to our situation, our story. So our financial situation, where are we right now? If we don't look at where we're at right now, and if we don't know where we want to go, we're just spinning our wheels. Anything we do, anything we say, any action we take or don't take, it's not going to matter because we don't know where we're going anyway. So think of this framework sort of as your GPS to get from where you are to where you want to go. And that begins with the S of our framework, story or situation. The O of our framework stands for options. Once you know where you are and where you want to be, we fill this gap by exploring different ways to come up with options and possibilities, knowing that there's lots of possibilities, infinite ways we could fill that gap. And we learn to look at different ways, and I'm going to share a tool every day for the rest of the challenge, like we've been doing so far, that you can use for each aspect of this framework. And so by the time we're done with the challenge, you'll have at least a handful, if not more, of different tools and things you can use to define your story and your situation, to define and figure out what your options are. The A in our SOAP framework stands for action, because guess what? Nothing happens until we actually act or do or take action or do something. We have to move, we have to test, we have to start, we have to try. I hate the word try, but we have to do something. We have to take some action. And our final step of the framework is P. P for progress. Am I growing? Am I moving in the direction I want to go? Am I making progress to fill that gap, to get from where I am to where I want to be? And then we want to take that, what we learned, if we're making progress, if we're going in the right direction, and we want to take that progress and turn it into a process or a system or automate it or a habit or a ritual so that we continue to move toward that thing that we want, to make progress toward it automatically on autopilot. I've created a ton of habits or reinforced a lot of new habits and rituals and processes and systems over the last year of doing this Get Up and Go challenge. So a lot of the things that I want, a lot of the gap that needed to be filled, I'm chugging away at it. I'm breaking away at a teeny bit every single day in ways that I don't even realize I'm chipping away at it, because I've made certain things, core things that give me progress, habits and rituals. I've made them part of my morning routine. I've made them part of my bedtime routine. I've made them part of my daily activities and routine. I've built them into my schedule so that I'm automatically progressing in each of those areas and aspects of my life that I want to, that are important to me right now. And we'll do the same for you throughout the challenge. So your assignment today, your action item, is to pick one of the 7 or 9 areas that you want me to give an example of. And over the next 4 days, I'm going to break down the S, the O, the A, and the P for that particular area or aspect of our life. And I'm going to give a very detailed example. And for each of those days, I'll give you tools to apply, to learn if you haven't ever been exposed to them before. A lot of the tools I use, other people are like, I have never heard of that, never seen it. I've got some that I created, that I made up over the course of my life based on things that I learned in my life that I'm like, oh, I used to have, for an example, I used to have an imaginary friend. I know, weird, but turns out my dad had an imaginary friend too, so I didn't feel so weird after I heard that. But I had an imaginary friend for reasons that I bounced ideas off of, and that's a strategy I now use when I am doing different things. And so we'll talk about the imaginary friend and a whole bunch of other tools and exercises. So by the time we finish this challenge, not only have you installed and practiced the SOAP framework probably 9 times, since we've got 9 different areas now. I'm going to make sure we do it at least 9 times, but we'll break down the first 3 that are the most important to you one day at a time, the S, the O, the A, and the P. And as you do this, as you practice it, it becomes a process that you make your own, that you own, that gets installed in your subconscious, and now you've got it forever. Things that we learn that we want to use, we have to find a way to make them a part of us, to make them our own, or 90 minutes or 60 minutes after we hear them, they just fleet, they go out of our mind and we never use them, we never apply them. It's why some things we have to hear, or at least I have to hear, like 50 or 100 times before they actually sink in and I take action on them and use them in my life. I like to be a little more direct with what I'm putting into my subconscious these days, more conscious of what I'm putting in my subconscious and my conscious. And I do this on purpose, especially using the SOAP framework. Any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, get ready to dig in tomorrow. Share the area you want to work on. For some reason, I cannot find my backwards writing handout. Remember that this is the one I started with. Okay, don't laugh. This is the one I actually started with, the first challenge, the different physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, and contribution. And people gave me a hard time. One lady in particular gave me a hard time because it was written backwards. Well, if you've got Android technology, you don't have the ability to flip your screen like you do on iPhones and things. So that's just the way it is. Sneak peek at a tool we'll probably learn. So that's it. Have an awesome day. If I can help you in any way, ask in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow. We're going to dig right into the S of, I don't know, whatever area or aspect of your life you want to. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, contribution, communication, or confidence. Whatever area you want to start on, that's what we'll do. Have an awesome day. And I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow to get up and go. I'm excited to start digging into this and helping you to help yourself be the best version of yourself going forward. Have an awesome day. Change challenge process. Let's go. Take care.